multi-frame stabilization effect. For this effect, I'm actually going to do two examples. For the first example, I'm going to take my clip into Fusion. I'm going to hit Control and Space and hit look for the planar tracker. If it's not added to your node flow, just hold Shift and wait till the line is highlighted, drop it, and make sure it's attached. Make sure you're in the first frame, and then you're going to draw just a small shape of your subject. Over in your Inspector tab, change from point to hybrid area, perspective, and to translation, rotation, and scale. Down here, you're just going to track to the end. Now, if you get this message, hit OK. If you notice my timeline here is the numbers are very high. This is because this is a clip from like the middle of the video. I did not turn it into a Fusion clip. So if you run into that problem, one, you can either turn your clip into a Fusion clip, or two, here in Fusion, where it says reference time, go to set, and it will change this reference time here to match up the timeline. And then track the end. Once your clip is tracked, go to the Inspector tab, Operations mode, select the drop down, and go to Stabilization. It's going to move the frame with your subject that you tracked. Go back to your node flow and highlight Media 1, and then you're going to get a Transform node. Make sure it's attached and go into the Inspector tab where it says Edges, hit the drop down and change it to Mirror. And that will mirror the edges. Now for my next example, I actually have a film burn overlay that I got from Cinepacks for free. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. Then I have some stock footage. I'm gonna select both clips. I'm gonna hit C on my keyboard, which I have a keyboard shortcut for, to create a compound clip. All right, now I'm in Fusion. I'm pretty much gonna repeat the previous steps. One thing of note though, since I created a compound clip before entering Fusion, the timeline starts at 0, so I don't have a need to reset my reference point. Also with tracking, if you make it a very small track point, like something like this, since your tracking point is so small, you see his elbow actually comes across that tracking point, it will cut off your track. Now it's pretty much good enough as an example, but to kind of counteract that, we're gonna go into the first frame. We're actually gonna highlight these and delete. Then I'm just gonna draw basically a bigger box. Now his arm can still mess this up if we go across it, but with it being a bigger box, it has more area to track. And see, now it actually tracks all the way to the end. And this track is different. It's zooming in and zooming out with his movement. If you don't want to zoom in, things like that, you can actually go over here to the Inspector tab. After you change it to Stabilize, you can turn off something like Scale and hit Compute Stabilization. And then it won't scale in anymore. It will just only bounce back and forward. Or the same thing for rotation. You can cut it off, recompute. Once it's finished, hit OK. So now the frame won't rotate. Also, you can cut those back on, hit compute. Down here, if you want, say for instance, if you didn't want to do the multi-frame and you just wanted to center in on this one frame, they do have the zoom down here. You can hit auto zoom and it'll basically just bring in your footage, but it will cut off everything around it. Then you have different crop settings as well. You can change the crop setting from the offset of the Y and X axis. And that's the multi-frame lock-on effect. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for future content.